the Barstow chapter of the Cum Laude Society. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 56th annual Cum Laude induction celebration at the Barstow School. Our ceremony includes recognition of current Barstow Cum Laude members and the induction of new senior and junior class initiates. After we have closed with Standards High, Cum Laude members and their family are invited to a reception in the library meeting room. First, Cum Laude members in course, Eliana Abbas, Sarah Epstein, and Lauren Fox, accompanied by Miss Diane Moore, will perform an American folk song, "The Water is Wide." In the novella Heart of Darkness, Joseph Conrad writes of Marlowe, who readies to tell a tale to shipmates as they wait for high tide on the Thames. The nameless narrator says of Marlowe, "The yarns of a seaman have a direct simplicity, the whole meaning of which lies within the shell of a cracked nut. But Marlowe was not typical, and to him the meaning of an episode was not inside like a kernel, but outside, enveloping the tale, which brought it out only as a glow brings out a haze in the likeness of one of these misty halos that sometimes are made visible by the spectral illumination of moonshine." As we gather here this morning to induct students into Cum Laude, perhaps we should think about kernels and their coverings for just a minute. At its proverbial kernel, the Cum Laude Society celebrates outstanding academic achievement. But, as Marlowe instructs us, we would be remiss to simply pat ourselves on the back for grades well got. One's learning should never be considered as an end game in and of itself. For no matter your scores, one simply does not win education. So forget the boxed correct answers, the filled-in scantrons, and even forget the in-class essay on Siddhartha. You see, the lesson can't be found inside the shell. We can only find it in the telling and in the examining. Our story lives outside of us, not just inside of us. And the way that we tell it matters. Consider that in the dark, we only know it's foggy because of a lamppost or headlights. Thus, Marlowe's spectral illumination of that truth, hopefully, provides us with a way to live that matches our practices with our principles and our message with our meaning. Today, we have the great honor and pleasure to welcome back an alumnus of Barstow, Kirill Manayev, class of 2008. And I'm going to give you an official bio of Kirill. Kirill graduated from Barstow in 2008 as a member of Cum Laude. He graduated from Yale in 2012 with a degree in art with a concentration in graphic design. He currently runs his own eponymous digital design firm, which has done work for clients such as Sutherland Engineering, Zurich Consulting, Monster Electronics, Ravenna Capital, and Yale Press, and for the kids, Beats Electronics. He currently lives in Lenexa with his wife Sophia and his dog Mickey. He enjoys music and can dance the Argentine tango. Okay, that's all the cookie cutter stuff, but here's the really good stuff. So Kirill, in high school, on more than one occasion, actually wore and pulled off the wearing of an ascot. Seriously, it worked. And that in and of itself speaks volumes for the strength of this man's sartorial presence. One day in 2007, I heard a strangely familiar sound in the Commons, only it was electrified. So I walked out and I found Kirill with a cello plugged into an amplifier. I commented that he was playing AC/DC's Thunderstruck on a cello that was electric. Kirill's response, and I quote, "Yes, with rock, I have more of an improvisation factor." Unquote. You see, it's never been enough for Kirill to be good at something. He wants to know what others have done. He longs to understand the history of a subject from various perspectives. He wants to know the techniques behind those perspectives, and he wants to examine the relations between styles and periods. Whether a college project that rebranded the Russian Ministry of Culture, or making a web application that translates Russian poems, Kirill is willing to reach outside his realm of knowledge, to question, to make connections between disparate threads, and to not be satisfied. Please provide a warm zdravstvuyte to our alumnus, Kirill Manayev.
Thank you, Mr. Luce, for that warm welcome. Wow. It's hard to imagine it's been almost 10 years since I was out there where you guys are now, sitting in those chairs, looking up at this stage in anticipation, anticipating the confirmation of many years of hard work, but at the same time coupled with a slowly mounting anxiety for the future. You see, I really had absolutely no idea what I was going to do with my future. I just knew I had to succeed. I was expected to. Let's backtrack. In case Mr. Luce's welcome didn't make it 100% clear, I'm Russian. In fact, I'm not even first-generation American. My parents were both born in small villages and towns in Russia. My father from the Ural Mountains, my mother from the Caucasus. Both were born into situations where not a whole lot was expected of them, yet both managed to excel in the system, graduating from the top music conservatories in the country, and meeting in a leading Moscow orchestra. Consequently, I was born in Moscow, but I never grew up there. 11 months after my birth, my parents whisked me away to Mexico, and 3 years later to the US. Both journeys were made for the express purpose of providing me with a brighter future. So, from a young age, I was expected to do well in everything I encountered and exposed to more than I could practically manage. My feet were perpetually dancing to a different tune, with my head attempting to keep up. And I think, if nothing else, that exposure has proven to be the most important investment my parents made into my development. To this day, my strongest internal driver is a fight against boredom. I refuse to stagnate in the knowledge I have accumulated, always looking for new things to encounter, experience, and learn from. Despite all those spinning plates, my parents enrolled me into Barstow in the middle of kindergarten. In the following 12 years, I grew alongside classmates, experiencing both successes and hardships. Classwork and study came pretty easily. Social challenges were a bit more difficult to navigate. I remember that around 7th grade, I had a classmate with whom I would fight practically every week. We would make fun of each other, putting each other down, each trying to gain the advantage. Hurtful comments were flung in each direction, many targeted at the core of our individuality. But through those exchanges, I learned that not everything comes naturally. Some relationships flail in misery and snuff out, to be reignited later. Here's a parallel from music. When you pick up a new piece to learn, the first few months are excruciating. Every passage new, uncomfortable, nothing sounds right. Sometimes the song is stuffed back into the music binder at the very back, where you hope you will never see it again. Inevitably, time goes by, the song resurfaces, and you realize your initial apprehension was misguided. By the time I reached high school, my 7th grade nemesis became a good friend and classmate with whom I enjoyed studying. I still don't understand why we squabbled as kids. When I became a senior, I truly had no idea how to go forward. Up to that point, I had been a diligent student of music, winning a few competitions in the Kansas City area in both cello and flute. It seemed relatively clear that my future would somehow revolve around music, though I knew I was not at the level in my studies to devote my whole life solely to the arts. I was too passionate about too many other things that I could devote my life solely to one focus. In that, I have to express my kudos to the teachers of Barstow, and especially in high school. Mr. Luce, Mr. Rourke, Dr. Rourke, Dr. Demerit, Mr. Crum, Mr. Adams, Mrs. Hilvitz, Ms. Collier, Mr. Gratwick, Mr. Frank, Dr. Kramer, and many more all played an integral part of shaping my approach to science, art, history, mathematics, and language. My parents as musicians could give me only so much, mostly related to music. Everything else I got from Barstow. For that, I'm deeply grateful. But I still had no idea how to move forward. So I spoke with Mr. Hill, and through him met Jeremiah Quinlan, the head of undergraduate admission at Yale. He recommended I come out and visit. I took his advice and fell in love with the campus. So I applied there, and also to a music conservatory in London, and to Harvard. But why not shoot for the top? I really had nothing to lose. And I was fortunate to land in both Yale and the music conservatory. Harvard didn't want me, which I think is for the better. I had a tough decision to make. One of the most prestigious universities in the world, or one of the best music conservatories. Here's my first piece of advice. Unless you know deep down that there is only one thing in life that you want to do, choose the option that gives you the most flexibility. Don't box yourself in. I ended up choosing Yale. Fast forward 1 year. Just completed my freshman year of college, bombing a few classes along the way. a little bit unnerving for someone who preferred and was used to getting all A's. But I exposed myself to a number of new fields of study: economics, psychology, German, most importantly, graphic design. I always had a cursory interest in design, mostly because of how hands-on the experience of creating something from nothing is. And also because, to me, design is art made practical. I will always enjoy the great masterpieces by famous painters, but to me, they are too far removed from the practicality of everyday life. They are slightly too reactionary. I prefer to be the creator rather than the responder. Second piece of advice: never discount your hobbies as merely hobbies. Here's a universal truth: passion drives the world. If there's anything worth doing, it's that for which you are passionate, that for which you will gladly forego food and sleep in hopes of making it to the next level. Fast forward one more year. As an incoming junior, at age 21, I got married. Yeah, married. I always pin myself as the guy jumping from girlfriend to girlfriend. Third piece of advice: plan for the future, but don't stress it too much. The future you will surprise your current expectations. And somehow, regardless of the choice you make, things tend to work out. I got married because I'd met someone I could see myself waking up with every morning without an urge to strangle. But that goes for any relationship. Fourth piece of advice: hold on feverishly to those people which are willing to do anything to help you achieve your goals, regardless if they fully agree with them or not. Those are the people that will help you through the blackest of nights and celebrate with you through the brightest of days. Everybody else doesn't matter. Last piece of advice: no matter what you end up doing with your life, never float at the surface. Dive deep, and when you think you're about to run out of air, keep going down. About 1 year ago, I started Argentine tango with my wife. It all began as an excuse for us to spend more time together outside of work. 2 months into it, we practically quit. 3 months into it, we were going to classes 3 times a week, itching for the next fix. Argentine tango is a unique dance form, unlike any other couples dance out there. When done correctly, it is 100% improvisation. Each time you're out on the floor, you're building a new story with your partner, a story that lasts one song, a conversation you're having at a single moment in time with just one other person, using no words, just a physical connection and a beat. And it's so hard. But that's exactly why we're passionate about it. Don't waste your time on the easy. When you hit a wall, find a sledgehammer or a chisel or a twig and gnaw at that wall like a dog at a pig ear. Once you've broken through, you won't believe what success you can achieve and how happy you will wake up each morning looking forward to the challenges that lie ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kirill. Now, the senior members in course, Eliana Alter Abbas, Sarah Marie Epston, Lauren Jean Fox, Paula Sayago, and Pedro Campos de Castro, will explain the national organization, its history, and the history of our chapter.
The Cum Laude Society was founded in 1906 at the Tome School in Maryland by the Phi Beta Kappa members of the faculty. Its purpose was, and still is, to accord recognition to students with high scholastic standing. It is now a national organization with a selective roster of fewer than 350 chapters.
Having a chapter at Barstow reflects honor not just on the individual students, but on the school. Membership is an indicator of excellence in scholarship, recognition of curricular rigor, and actively encourages ethical leadership. The Barstow School was granted its charter in 1959, the school's 75th anniversary year. At that time, it was the singular Kansas City chapter and one of only in 3 in the state.
The object of the Cum Laude Society is, as it always has been, to recognize scholarship and to encourage and reward the student. The presence of a strong Cum Laude chapter at Barstow is an accomplishment that merits pride in our school. The original founding members of the Barstow chapter of Cum Laude were Catherine Lucas Alves, R. Harrison Field, Marvin H. Gates, Mary Roberts Heisted, Miriam Babbitt Simpson, Nell Sneed, and Richard L. Sutton, Jr.
The motto of the society is arete, tique, time, excellence, justice, honor. Arete includes the concept of excellence in the moral sense and is not limited to the ideal of superiority and scholarship, nor does it involve the endeavor of competing primarily for academic goals. Tique includes the concept of what is suitable and appropriate, as well as just. Time includes the concept of dignity and truth, as well as honor.
Students who have demonstrated the highest academic record, as well as good character, honor, and integrity in all aspects of their school life are candidates for election to cum laude. At the first Barstow induction ceremony in 1959, 8 students were called for membership. This year, we welcome 6 seniors and 6 juniors.
Cum laude elects not more than 1/5 of the senior class. That total includes the students selected as juniors. I have been given the honor of calling the names of our newly elected members to complete the 20% of the class of 2015. Please hold your applause until all the newly elected members have been called. Bailey Brianne Fisley. Stephanie Lauren Heyman. Han Bill Huang. Daniel Jacob Kessler. Michelle Elizabeth Martin. And Preston James Schwartz. Congratulations. Cum laude has a provision for early admission. The charter says that members of the junior class who have attended Barstow at least 2 semesters and who have done such outstanding work that election in their junior year is a suitable reward may be considered. We are allowed to consider 1/10 of the total number in that class. Therefore, 6 accomplished scholars were elected from this year's junior class. Please welcome the members of the class of 2016. Lauren Sally Bernard. Shang Max Gong. Sophia Grazia Dwyer Morrow. Valerie Grace Mombello. Emily Catherine Reed. And Isabel Nicole Thomas. Congratulations.
As head of the upper school, it is now my duty to lay upon each of you the charge of the Cum Laude Society. The charge expresses both the Society's hopes for each of you and the responsibilities you assume in accepting membership. This is the charge of the Cum Laude Society. You have had an honorable record in your studies and a good character during the school course, and in recognition of this, you have been elected to the membership of the Cum Laude Society. The future success and influence of the Society depend in some measure upon your loyalty to the ideals which it maintains. Be true to these ideals and to the trust now shared with you. Nourish the love of sound learning and make wisdom and truth the guides of your life. Let the honor the Society has conferred upon you urge you to increase diligence and greater endeavor in the pursuit of knowledge. We have a goodly heritage and the treasure of the past, and it is our duty to make our contribution to the present and the future. We expect you to encourage letters and learning and to carry forward the standard of truth and righteousness. I congratulate you on behalf of Cum Laude and the Barstow School. After we sing Standards High, Cum Laude members and their families are invited to adjourn to a reception in the library meeting room where new members will receive their pins and certificates. Mr. Dickerson will now lead us as we sing Standards High. Guests and Cum Laude members can join us in the LMR, please, for the reception. Oh, sorry.